Your enemy's arrogance is the trap that makes them stumble. Fools rush to display strength, eager to be feared immediately, and this haste seals their fate. They are like dogs barking too loudly, revealing their position before the right moment. True predators, however, do not growl, do not announce their arrival. They observe, calculate, and attack only when the target is already defeated before even realizing it. Before we begin, if this content adds value to you, I ask that you subscribe to Beyond Sanity and leave your like. It is fundamental support. Now let's get to what matters. Machiavelli already knew. Being underestimated is the armor of invisible kings. While the arrogant show off, convince themselves of their invincibility and drown in their own vanity, you go unnoticed. You let them relax, make them laugh, make them forget you exist until there is no more time for them to react. In the game of power, patience is not just a virtue. It is the silent blow that ends disputes before they even begin. So, I ask you, do you still want to be recognized, applauded, celebrated? Or have you already understood that the most dangerous kings are not those who sit on the throne, but those who take it without anyone noticing? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the game of underestimation. The biggest mistake someone can make is ignoring those who seem small, because those who are ignored have something no one else has: time, space, and the freedom to build their victory in secret. Today we will explore an implacable truth. Let them underestimate you, because the most devastating blow always comes from where no one is looking. But before we proceed, I want you to think, how many times have you been underestimated? And how many of those times did you transform that into fuel for your success? Now imagine this. What if I told you that underestimation is not just a temporary disadvantage, but a secret weapon? A strategic tool that can transform you from a silent observer into an unstoppable force. Nietzsche once said, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." It sounds like a cliché, but it is a brutal reality. True strength does not show itself. It is cultivated in the shadows. Ask yourself, what is more frightening? A lion roaring loudly or a fox moving in silence? Machiavelli warned us. Men forget the death of their father more quickly than the loss of their patrimony. People focus on obvious threats, on loud roars, on aggressive postures, but it is the invisible threats, those that no one sees coming, that destroy empires. Lions call attention, but foxes control the hunt, and that is where the danger lies. When you act without calling attention, you become unpredictable. When you choose silence, you choose power. But here there is something deeper. Silence is a double-edged weapon. It protects you while you grow, but it also disarms those around you. When you do not respond to provocations, you take away from your opponent the chance to understand you. You become an enigma, a ghost they cannot capture. Imagine silence as an invisible fortress. It is built with patience, discipline, and strategy. While your enemies are busy trying to figure out what you are planning, you are already 5 steps ahead. They only see what you allow them to see, a weak and unimportant player. But behind this facade, you are building an army of ideas, resources, and opportunities. Now think about this. How many times have you seen someone being despised only to surprise everyone later? This happens in business, in politics, in sports, on social media, absolutely everywhere. Small startups swallowing corporate giants while the giants laughed at them. Discredited politicians ascending to power while the elite despised them as amateurs. Unknown content creators accumulating millions of followers while arrogant influencers fell into irrelevance. The truth is simple and cold. What is not noticed is never interrupted. While they laugh at you, you plant the seeds of your empire. But there is something few understand. Being underestimated is not just an advantage, it is a strategic opportunity. It is the chance to operate without being noticed, to use the contempt of others as fuel for your ascent. When someone laughs, they are unconsciously giving you the freedom to grow without being watched. Imagine a battlefield. Your enemies see you as an easy target, so they lower their guard. They do not realize that while they are distracted by bigger threats, you are building fortifications, training soldiers, and planning precise attacks. When they finally realize it, it will be too late. Underestimation is like a veil that blinds opponents. They only see what they expect to see. Weakness. But you know the truth. You know that apparent weakness is actually a dormant strength, ready to explode at the right moment. But attention, appearing weak, does not mean being weak. A true master of the game knows that the best attack happens when no one expects it. The greatest players understand that patience is as important as action. Winners do not try to prove anything to others, do not react to petty provocations, do not reveal their cards too early. They know that ego is the enemy and that the sweetest revenge is served in silence. They let others laugh while they plan the final blow. If you are underestimated, congratulations. You have something most people do not have, the freedom to act without being noticed. And freedom is power. But here is the secret. Being underestimated is not just an advantage, it is your greatest opportunity. It is the chance to act without being watched, to use the contempt of others as fuel for your ascent. When someone laughs at you, they are unconsciously giving you permission to grow in secret. Imagine this as an underground river. While everyone observes the main current, you dig hidden channels, redirecting the flow exactly where you want it. When they realize it, the riverbed will have completely changed course. Another powerful metaphor. Think of yourself as a tree growing in a dense forest. While other trees compete for sunlight, you grow slowly, absorbing the small rays that reach you. When the trees around you fall, you will be ready to dominate the sky. If you want to transform underestimation into competitive advantage, you need to master 3 fundamental pillars: discipline, patience, and precision. Resist the temptation to prove yourself to those who do not deserve your energy. Let others waste their strength ignoring you while you work in silence. Attack at the right moment when no one can defend themselves. A cold heart does not act out of emotion, it acts out of strategy. It does not care what others think now, because it knows they will be the ones forced to deal with the consequences of your victory. But here is something crucial. To master these 3 pillars, you need to learn to accept discomfort. Discipline requires sacrifice. Patience requires emotional control, and precision requires tireless practice. These are the ingredients that separate amateurs from masters. Here is a final reflection on these pillars. Discipline is the foundation, patience is the timing, and precision is the blow. Without one of them, the entire structure collapses, but when you combine them, you build something unshakable. Genghis Khan was underestimated until he dominated half of the known world. Jeff Bezos was ridiculed until he created Amazon, one of the most powerful companies on the planet. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company before returning as an incomparable visionary. Even Einstein was ignored by academics before completely changing our understanding of the universe. History constantly repeats this pattern. The weak of today are the monsters of tomorrow. Need more examples? Look at J.K. Rowling, rejected by 12 publishers before publishing Harry Potter. Elon Musk, who was considered crazy for investing in electric cars and space exploration. Today these names define entire industries, but here is the crucial point. These people did not seek approval. They used underestimation as a shield, protecting themselves from criticism while they built their empires. And when the world finally realized what was happening, it was already too late. Another fascinating example is Sun Tzu, author of The Art of War. He taught that the true warrior wins before even entering the battlefield. He plans, observes, and only attacks when he knows he cannot fail. This is the power of being underestimated. You win before you are even noticed. Let us explore another classic example, Napoleon Bonaparte. He started as an unknown officer, underestimated by his superiors, but he used this underestimation to study, plan, and conquer. When he emerged, he had built an army and a strategy that dominated Europe. These examples teach us a universal lesson. Underestimation is a blessing in disguise. It gives you time and space to grow while your enemies are too busy belittling you. So I ask again, have you learned to play this game, or are you still wasting energy trying to prove yourself to those who will never truly value you? Be smart. Let them underestimate you, because on the board of power, whoever seems invisible controls the game. Unless that is exactly what they want you to think, because here is the supreme truth. The greatest power is not in being seen, it is in being underestimated. It is in using the contempt of others as leverage for your ascent. It is transforming every laugh, every criticism, every insult into fuel for the fire you are building in silence. But here is one last challenge. Who is underestimating you now, and how will you use this against that person? Imagine this as a chess game. Each piece has its role, each move has its purpose. When you are underestimated, you become the pawn that everyone ignores. But the pawn, upon reaching the other side of the board, can transform into a queen, and a queen can change the entire game. If you understood the lesson, comment below. Silence is power. I want to see how many here truly understand the game. How many are ready to use underestimation as their secret weapon? But before you go, think about this. Who is underestimating you now? And how will you use this against that person? Let me ask one last time. Are you ready to play this game? To embrace silence, cultivate patience, and attack with precision? Or will you continue wasting energy trying to prove your worth to those who will never truly value you? Until next time.